on time as well, which is pretty unusual for us lately. We're doing pretty well at the moment of keeping the show in order. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to this week's edition of the Petty and Ill-Informed podcast, where we discuss topics with our petty and ill-informed opinions. Joining me, as always, from 14 Padbury Drive, Kent, Tom.
Well,
wow.
I think that's a reference to me doxing myself and then doubling down on that last week.
And from somewhere in America, Nikki.
Hey. Somewhere in America. You are not incorrect.
Yeah, see, I am a humble genius.
So therefore, Richard's basically inviting Gabby to send her feces through my front door, whereas if she wanted to do that to you, Nikki, she's got the entire United States at random to have a go at, and very little chance of success. Cheers, Richard.
Gabby, well, Gabby will find you.
Gabby's actually met me, so we had lunch together.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
I'd say one day I would really hope to meet both of you, actually, ideally, and it would be if my family took, as we've talked about, Nikki, if my family took a holiday out in the States, which there's a chance we'll do next summer. I don't know how likely it is, but ideally we'd be out there next summer, and we'd we've worked out that if we ended up in where is it, in St. Louis, or that sort of place, where my friend Tom Ward lives, who I met who I grew up with over here, then that wouldn't be too far from you. And Richard, I'd love it if one day my dad and I could drag our sorry backsides up to the Lake District and have a maybe a
what is actually wrong with you? Like, is it just a compulsion? You just have to tell people exactly where you and other people live.
Oh, fuck. Well, I've only given the vaguest of hints.
Oh, yeah, thanks for that. Brilliant. That's genius. I mean, as we all know, England is twice as big as America, so it will be very hard for them to search.
I really shouldn't be allowed anywhere, online or elsewhere. You should just put me in a padded cell and leave me to my own misery.
I would, but Nikki would beat me up. She's already vetoed the idea several times.
All
right.
Getting out of a padded cell.
So what kind of week have we all had?
Yeah, a good one. Not really, kind of. I mean, my work week was okay. What I made of it. That's about it. Changing weather means chronically ill people are sometimes decrepit. The end.
Good story.
Yeah, I was thinking about that. Is it bad weather makes it all tough, Nikki?
Oh gosh, it makes it worse. Like there's already, there's a certain amount of pain that you're in daily anyway. But yeah, weather changes or bad weather. So cold fronts and storms and stuff like that is excruciating.
Yeah, I remember you saying when when we were first talking a year or so ago, and a couple of years probably, and yeah, ow, jeez, even more boring than then. Richard, that was written so poorly. There's a capital T in the middle of it. You wrote then, not than. What is wrong with you?
I just need to punish Tom real quick, and I'll be back at the podcast. All right. So yeah, my week was also pretty fantastic. There's been a collection of jays in the area, which has been very nice. Been a few years since I saw them. I usually have to go down to a certain forest to even catch a glimpse of them, but they've a flock of them have put up in the field opposite this year. So it looks like they're going to be wintering here, which is really cool. They're very pretty birds.
Awesome. No, it's the how what's the furthest you've
boring.
sort of ever travelled to go and visit one particular bird? Because there are people who will travel, you know, halfway across the country, or you know, sometimes even further, just you know, to catch a glimpse of one rare specimen. I mean, I don't know for sure, but I've been
He'd come to America for it.
I've been told that there are people who will, you know, drop everything to get somewhere immediately to see certain species.
Yeah, I myself travelled all the way down south to the Peak District to have a chance at seeing a great shrike.
And did you see one?
No, it had moved on.
Well, that's a disappointment. After, I mean, you know, do you always know when you travel that there is a chance that you won't strike lucky?
Yeah, there is. A couple of years ago, we had that bearded vulture down in the Derbyshire. I went down to see that, saw it. Pretty hard to miss a bearded vulture. But a couple of years before that, we had a Griffalcon up in the Shetland Islands. I couldn't get up there, but you know, I saw plenty of pictures of it. Always nice to get these rare migrants to show up.
Cool.
I'm sure that you know, Nigel Farage was down there at the border trying to get their passports, but
God, I didn't meet him, but I could have done once. I didn't. I wasn't interested. He came to a beer festival that I was at, and he was just wandering around there with a couple of security guards meeting people.
Yeah, he's a man of the people with the security guards.
I wasn't interested in going to say hello or anything.
Oh, look at me. I can drink pints like the regular folk, but I also need security guards. So,
well, to be fair, he did, because it was only quite soon after that someone chucked a milkshake all over him.
Good. I mean, I wouldn't wish harm on him, but if someone was going to chuck something on it, you know, maybe they should take inspiration from what happened to Nikki's friend.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Anyway.
Jesus Christ.
Like I said, welcome to Memphis.
Memphrica.
I have a friend who was sending someone home for the day from work, told them to go home. They were not getting fired. They were just told to go home. And long story short, they threw a cup of boiling hot grease from a McDonald's burner into my friend's face and down her chest. So, yeah. I wouldn't suggest doing that to anybody.
I mean, it's absolutely it's absolutely evil. I mean, there's been in this country in London, there's been gangs that have used acid in your face as a weapon, and it's absolutely terrible. The damage it can do is horrendous. Oh
yeah, it's horrible.
It's something so ghastly and brutal about it. Oh, it's just a really nasty. It's such a nasty form of attack. I mean,
so you said you had a slideshow for it.
Oh, I do. Just very, very quickly about my week, because clearly you haven't asked because you don't give a shit. So I'll just have to.
I thought we'd already covered you and Nikki.
When have you asked me about my week?
Oh, okay. How was your week, Tom?
It's pretty cool, really, because we got a new car today. But then when we were driving it, I'd been driving less than 5 minutes. This was this morning, trying to get to where my parents live, and we just ended up. I managed to avoid the location this time for once. I am learning, and as we were going around this roundabout, an absolute nutter came bombing it round. I saw him in my mirrors, and I was worried he was going to drive straight into us. So maybe I panicked, or maybe I just put safety first. I don't know, but I just got off the roundabout really quickly. But it turned out that started a detour which we could not undo, and just roads merging and junctions that couldn't get us back in the other direction, and it added an hour and a half to the journey. So that was a real pain, and Hannah and I, we were going to see a show, and we only just about made it, and then went for a meal afterwards, and then came back where we managed to make a good day out of it all the same. But yeah, I've got a nice new car that I've got to figure out how to drive without crashing, and hopefully be able to find more than one radio station, because we could only get Radio 2 on the way down here. And after an hour and a half of that, often being stuck in traffic, I was ready to throw something hot or corrosive into my own face. But there we are.
Good, great. How can you only pick up Radio 2? If you get Radio 2, surely you get Radio 1.
Once we finally got some sound out of it, we didn't dare touch it again.
So it was self-inflicted then. Okay.
Oh yeah.
All right. Well, go on then. You got a slideshow for us?
Well, I do, because it's very crudely put together, but it should be fun. It was just because this week we're going to talk about all things sci-fi. So off we go. I'm hoping to be able to share my screen and hopefully just so he's got. I haven't shared a screen before. Shouldn't be rocket science.
Silence.
Okay.
You know, at the beginning of the show when you said, "How did I do it?" That would have been a good time to do it. You know.
Okay. So is that working? Can you see it?
No.
No, you can't. Okay. Oh, I see. Ah, there it is. Oh, that's helpful.
Yeah, it's been added to the stream. Okay, all things sci-fi.
Wonderful. Yeah. Okay. So, I'm mainly going to focus on TV series and films, because that's mostly what I'm intellectually capable of, as we will see. And so I just sort of grabbed a load of my favourites, took a load of pictures.
What about books?
Well, we'll get there. I do not underestimate their importance. It's just my brain is pretty useless. So I was going to start with Doctor Who, because it's my absolute favourite. I love it. I grew up on it, and it's most definitely what got me into sci-fi. Being the tragic old granddad that I am, I still hold my VHS collection absolutely sacred, and I've still got my VHS player plugged in. That's all of them from 1963 to 1989, the original run. There's a mixture of terrible stories, incredibly badly dated stories, incomplete stories, ones that were never finished. And because they don't have a complete, comprehensive Doctor Who archive, some of them are just in bits and pieces. Like a couple of those box sets at the very top, they've got the visual. Some stories they've got, say it's 4 episodes that make up one story. The format was a bit different then to how it is now. And 4 episodes, one story, they might have 2 of them on, they've still got the video, but the other 2, they've only got audio. So you might, in 2 or 3 of those box sets, you've got a CD and the VHS tape. So it's all fun and really retro. And I still enjoy watching them. Obviously, I've got them on DVD and Blu-ray from current series, from 2005 to now. I liked it best when Russell T Davies was the producer. Those first several series really worked for me. The middle ones, well, sort of in the center of your screen there, seasons 5, 6, 7, 8 or so, they were okay, but sometimes too complicated for their own good. And the head writer, Stephen Moffat, he's incredibly imaginative, but sometimes it just gets a bit too complicated and unrewarding for its own good. Nikki, you into Doctor Who at all?
I do. I love Doctor Who.
I thought so. You want to talk about anything about it?
1 second.
Mm-hmm.
You asked me just as I was about to start coughing.
Oh, sorry.
It's okay. I love Doctor Who. I grew up with Doctor Who. Of course, I think Doctor Who's been running since the 60s, right?
Well, it was the first episode in the top left, because they're in chronological order, those VHS tapes. The one in the top left is An Unearthly Child. And that was the first one, which was 1963.
Okay, that's what I thought. I thought it had been it was 1963. I knew it was the 60s, but I was like I grew up watching them, the old ones, the new ones, of course, you know. Baker was one of my favorites. He'll be my OG favorite because I hated every other Doctor. I remember growing up and not liking any of the Doctors except for him.
Well, I think that's because everybody has somebody who is their Doctor, and it's almost always the person who is playing the Doctor when you first get into it.
But I find the new, like the reboot that started with Chris Eccleston.
Yep, that's it. Yeah. Season 1.
So so that season, I have found that the Doctors on that are more reliable, I feel, than the old ones. I don't know. Maybe it's because I'm older and have the a better attention span sometimes. But I've really, David Tennant is my second favorite. I adore him. But my problem with it is I'm severely far behind. Because I have like a 5 to 10 year mourning period between Doctors. So I literally just started with Matt Smith. I'm finally over mourning David Tennant, and I'm like, fine, I'll watch the new guy. And it's not even the new guy. I'm like 4 behind.
Okay, Matt Smith, I actually thought was brilliant. I thought David Tennant was a very tough act to follow, but Matt Smith did it and found a distinctive, particularly quirky Doctor character of his own, and it really worked. I didn't like by seasons 5, 6, and 7 as they progressed. I found them so complicated, and there's so many loose ends that weren't tied up, not to my sort of satisfaction anyway. And I found them, just I'd watch episodes over and over again, trying to understand them, and and just not, even despite the enormous drag factor of my own mind, they should have made a bit more sense than they did, on the end of a third viewing. And then you've got Peter Capaldi, who, for me, he didn't quite make his mark as a really distinctive Doctor. But the one at the I think it's series, what season was it? 5, 7, 10. Season 10, I actually thought was really good. His one, season 10. It's got a white spine. It's just above the second, the second two of the 2 brackets holding up. But anyway, never mind which one it is. Season 10, if you can see it, it's that was really well written, really enjoyable, and a huge amount of fun. And it had an episode in it called World, Enough and Time, which is one of the most breathtakingly imaginative ideas I have ever. It's Stephen Moffat at his very best. I can say the premise, I think, without giving away any spoilers. So what it is there's a spaceship that is in sort of statically held by some force right above a black hole. I mean, by rights, the thing should have been sucked in and crushed to nothing, eons ago. But this ship is static. But because it is so close to the event horizon of this black hole, and it's like a cylindrical ship, 200 floors. And it's pointing down towards the event horizon, so it's like vertical, and time travels a lot slower on the. Time travels at different rates depending on what floor you're in. So on the top, on 1 second on the top floor is like a year. No, 1 year on the first floor is a second on the 200th floor. So while you're at the top floor and you're looking at your watch and the seconds are ticking by, people are aging massively, and time for people down below is going at a for them, it's going up the normal rate, but relative to the top, it's a year is passing with each second. And the plot
that's like the exact opposite of what's happening right now.
Okay. What? Oh, for fuck's sake, Arnold. Okay, I'll take the hint. Shall we move on from Doctor Who?
Yes, please, God.
Right. Okay. So for me, like speeding up the pace, then. So heading up the floors. We're probably hoping for about floor 100 speed. This one, The Great Days for me, and I think for possibly many other people. Hopefully, both of you were the 1980s. Some of these films were just so much fun, so full of imagination. Short Circuit, I hear, has actually been kind of blacklisted for the titular reason. Well, the titular, I mean, as in blacklisted, because I didn't know this until recently, but the Indian character, I forget his name, he's actually a white guy blacked up. And that's what I was told. I haven't verified it, but I've been told. Maybe I should, because it might be a good myth bust if so. But I forget his name. The character, but the Indian, the Asian guy. He is a complete stereotype, and is I'm told a white person in makeup. I'd have to check that. I should have verified that before the show, really. But yeah, so I jury's out on whether or not you would think that would be acceptable to watch and view today. But I mean, I find those other ones, Back to the Future, Ghostbusters, and Inner Space, just they've got such a magical atmosphere about them. They're so much fun. What do you guys think?
Back to the Future trilogy is a movie series I will watch at least once every few months. I've got DVDs, fabulous. I've got digital copies. You know, the second one's a load of crap, but the first one and the third one are pretty good.
Well, actually, I really like the second one, and I think the third is the weakest.
But I don't like the second one. Opinions divided. Everyone agrees the first one's the best.
Oh yeah.
Opinions divided on the second and third one. But I love them. I love the Ghostbusters movies. All three of them. There's only three of them: Ghostbusters, Ghostbusters 2, and Ghostbusters Afterlife. There is no other movie at all. Short Circuit, great film. Inner Space, great film.
I just love Inner Space. I know the Ghostbusters movie you're talking about. I watched most of it, and I didn't get.
There is no. I don't know. There's only three. There's Ghostbusters, Ghostbusters 2, and Afterlife. Those are the only three Ghostbusters films.
I don't know what your opinion is of Mark Kermode, the film critic, but he would hold the opposite opinion for you. He thought the one that you claim doesn't exist was actually pretty good, but the Afterlife was just a really tedious, cash in for people who just want more of the same and aren't prepared to extend their imagination to appreciate something different. That's how he put it. I haven't seen Ghostbusters Afterlife, so I can't say.
So me and Nikki watched it. It's a really great movie. It doesn't trade as heavily on nostalgia as the first season of Star Trek Picard did. It does trade a little bit on nostalgia, but it doesn't rely on it too much. I thought it was a nice little tale.
In a good way, yeah. It's got a lot of heart.
Yeah.
I'll give it a look then. So, sticking with the 80s for a bit, good old Arnie. All four of those films there, well, five if you include the first two Terminator films. Oh, and there are no other Terminator films. There's just two.
Oh, God, yeah, there's just two. Okay.
Same with Alien. Really, well, not quite so strong.
There's three Alien movies. Alien 3 works as long as there aren't any others after it.
Yeah. Alien 3 it's a curious thing, Alien 3.
I will defend Alien 3 as its concluding part of the trilogy because the ending's really good, it's well thought out, because it underlines the message of all three movies, which was the aliens always win and all Ripley can do is take them with her. So it worked on that level, and then they made bloody Resurrection, which was terrible, and then everything after that, which has just been garbage. But as long as it was the concluding part of a trilogy, I was prepared to put up with it.
Yeah, I'm totally with you. Prometheus, Covenant, AVP, forget they didn't happen.
AVP is fun. It's a fun movie. Yeah, it's AVP 2 was that movie gave me a brain tumor. It was so terrible. But AVP 1, fairly fun movie, aliens, predators, duking it out, open the door for a franchise. My big idea, Pac-Man versus Predator. Let's roll that one out next year. But the first one, pretty decent. Both Predator movies are all right. Predator 1, Predator 2.
Then just recently, have either of you seen Prey?
I have seen Prey. It's awesome.
I did. I really did like it. I thought it was really, yeah. I didn't think it was phenomenal, but I thought it was really, really solid. I really enjoyed it, and I thought it was a really good premise to, it's a really good, really well done Predator film. I thought that was really good. I didn't see Predators actually, which was a few years ago.
Terrible. That is terrible. Okay. Garbage movie. It didn't make any sense at all. Yeah. Total Recall's good, but again, the remake didn't happen.
I haven't seen it, and I've no interest in seeing it.
Good.
RoboCop, I really enjoy, and with Running Man, I also really enjoy.
RoboCop, I liked all three of those.
No, the third RoboCop film is.
It's my guilty pleasure. I know it's terrible, but I still like it.
It's one of the. I forget when I'm thinking of the worst films I've ever seen. I always forget RoboCop 3, but it's awful.
It is awful.
I can't decide what is a better 1-2 punch: Alien and Aliens, or Terminator and Terminator 2. All four films are absolutely magnificent.
I prefer the Alien franchise to the Terminator franchise. That's just me, personal. Aliens and Alien are great. People that compare them, I say you're barking up the wrong tree. They're two completely different genres. Aliens a thriller, and Aliens is an action film.
Oh yeah, they are. Yeah, you did. Yeah, I thought you were talking about comparing the two franchises, but no, you're quite right. Alien, and they do different jobs. I saw them in the wrong order, which probably didn't help.
What? No, to say that I saw Alien 3 first, and then the first two.
Wow. Well, you'd have been in for that. That you'd have had a higher opinion of Alien 3 than most people who saw it then.
As I said, as long as it was the last movie in the franchise, I accepted it for what it was, the concluding part of a trilogy. But it wrapped it up nicely. It did what it was supposed to do.
Oh. I've got these two books which are really cool. The Colonial Marines Technical Manual it's really imaginative. It's a fascinating read. I haven't read it all, but it was really cool and really special. It does the whole in-universe thing a lot better than the book on the right, which it isn't. It's just not cynical enough, this Weyland-Yutani report. You want it to reek of corporate guilt, but it doesn't really. Too much of it is sort of, background detail about the aliens because they were trying to, that's what they were trying to hunt and things like that, or trying to capture a specimen of. But the Colonial Marines Technical Manual is full of detail and nuance, and I'm pretty sure the author, this Lee Brimacombe Wood, has a history of military. As a military background, so if that would really help explain its nuance. So a couple of other franchises that I really love. This one I love and don't, Star Wars. If you'd have told me that episodes 7, 8, and 9 would be far worse as a trilogy than episodes 1, 2, and 3, I would not have believed you. I wouldn't have thought that's possible.
That's always been a contention point for me. I was like, people said, was there anything positive about the new ones? And I said, well, they made the prequels a lot better by comparison. So.
God, they really did. I mean, the Force Awakens was so similar to A New Hope. It was basically a reboot. And
it was exactly the same movie. All right. I've had this argument so many times. It was exactly the same movie.
Yeah, it was for me. I'm glad I finally met someone of a like mind, Richard, on this issue at least. Before you throw hot grease in your own face for being remotely similar to the likes of me. The
I've already taken the cyanide. But yeah, no, it's exactly the same film. You know, a dodgy droid crash lands on a desert planet. They escape it on the Millennium Falcon, regroup with a bunch of friends, and destroy the giant battle station. It's exactly
before it can just with an X-wing running down a trench before it can destroy the rebel base. Yeah,
it is exactly frame by frame the same movie.
Yep. And then the Last Jedi. A lot of people hated it, absolutely hated it. I actually didn't mind it, but as for coherence as a trilogy, forget it, because I didn't know the background of they had no plan for the trilogy, and then when J.J. Abrams wasn't available for some reason, they didn't do the sensible thing and stop and wait. Disney said, "We need our money now. Come along, Rian Johnson. Do your own thing." Oh shit, people don't like it. Come back, J.J. Abrams. All is forgiven, and try and clean this mess up. The best I can do it because my main villain Snoke has been killed. Best I can do is bring Palpatine back from the dead and try not to make it look desperate and fail miserably. And the whole thing is just a shambles. And there's so many problems with episodes 1, 2, and 3, but at least they hold their own as a collective trilogy.
At least as a story. I didn't mind The Last Jedi either, only because, and the same thing happened with the first Michael Bay Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles film, was I went into it with such low expectations that the movie could not have been as bad as I thought it was going to be. So I ended up kind of, well, not enjoying it, but I didn't think it was terrible. But only because my expectations were so in the toilet. But yeah, I did.
Niki, you've been very quiet. Any thoughts on Star Wars?
I like Star Wars. It's not my cup of tea. There's a few of the Star Wars movies I like, but
well, we've yet to mention the originals.
Well,
I'm okay with the original. I haven't. Okay, so I watched episodes 1, 2, and 3. I watched the originals, and I've seen Solo, and I haven't seen any of the other ones, and I don't know if I care to.
Rogue One's really good.
Yep.
Rogue One is really good.
Hold on a second. I just rolled my eyes really hard, and I think they fell onto the floor. I don't know if I've ever heard that before. What? People telling me to watch Rogue One.
It is really good. It's a good movie.
Whatever.
Solo isn't.
I'm in a very... Listen, I enjoyed Solo for what it was, but then again, I mean, the main character is my favorite character of all of it, so whatever. I enjoyed Solo.
I quite liked it. I'd watch it over any of the sequels, Force Awakens, Last Jedi, or Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah, we're going through them in chronological order at my house. I mean, so I am going to watch all of them sooner or later. I think we're on episode 3 right now.
Well, you should have watched Rogue. Oh, yeah, no.
No, not yet. It's not. Yeah, we're doing them in actual chronological order. It's kind of like that's how we're doing the Marvel, the MCU. I'm watching them with my parents.
Okay.
Chronological order, it'd be Solo, episode 1, Solo, Rogue One, episode 1, episode 2, 3.
Rogue One isn't before episode 1. It's
yeah.
Before episode 4.
Yeah, it is.
It's before episode 4.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, episode 4. That's what I meant. Sorry.
Yeah. But
so
that is
1, 2, 3, Solo, Rogue One, 4, 5, 6.
Anyway, Disney Channel has them in whichever order you want to watch them, whether by release date or chronological, and we decided to go chronological.
Can I talk about the TV shows of Star Wars as well?
Because there's the prequel series to Rogue One. It's just Andor or something.
Yeah, Andor's just come out. I wasn't going to talk about that. I was going to talk about the only decent IP they've scraped out of that, and that's the Mandalorian.
Yeah,
which is just frankly brilliant.
I should have done, but I haven't watched them all. We've just actually ended our Disney Plus subscription because we had so many. So if I may move on, Star Trek. I mean, I really enjoyed. I never got into the original series. I really enjoyed The Next Generation. My favorite was Deep Space Nine. Some of my, I think my personal favorite movie is First Contact. I could watch that over and over and over again. I tried Star Trek Discovery and didn't really get on with it.
Wait a second. You said that you would First Contact is your favorite movie?
Yep.
What about Genesis?
Generation, she means.
Oh shit. Which one's Genesis? Hold on.
The Genesis, that's
Search for Spock.
3. That's Search.
Yeah, my bad. I meant Generations. Yeah. Wow. Sorry.
Generations is a.
It's all right. I speak Nikki.
Generations.
What?
It's
hilarious.
It's like a really bad double episode.
But it's hysterical.
Why? Because it's so
That's
bad.
actually there's actually some 2-part episodes of The Next Generation that are way better than Generations.
Oh,
I would agree. I would agree with that. But my thing is I just really, I don't know. Maybe it's because a nostalgia thing, but I really love Generations. First Contact's good as well.
I like Generations. I really like the Excelsior class starship, and the Enterprise is an Excelsior for a bit in that. So that's my reason for liking Generations.
They
I just found it funny.
Of course, it's the Enterprise B. Is it B?
Yeah, it's the B.
Yeah, at the beginning. Yeah. So it's
we've got NX, Constitution retrofit, and Excelsior, Ambassador, Galaxy, Sovereign class.
Oh, the Enterprise.
Yeah, that's right. I'm a Trekkie nerd. All right, judge me all you want.
I'm impressed. I'm impressed. I had models of many of those a long time ago, but they all went over time. But yeah,
I will tell you another reason for Generations being my favorite is because Data is my favorite character, and that was the introduction of his emotion chip, and it was just amusing the entire time.
That wasn't the introduction.
Not the introduction, sorry, but the shenanigans that happened.
There were like 3 episodes in The Next Generation with that.
I get that, but I enjoy the shenanigans, and anything that's Data centric, I will go for.
Yeah, well, they doubled down on Data throughout The Next Generation and the movies.
Yeah.
And the first season of Picard.
Which
is why I despised the first season of Picard. No, there was just too much nostalgia going on there. Too much.
Yeah, there's no such thing as too much Data for me.
I must watch it. I really must.
How have you not seen Picard, man? The first season is...
Because I've started watching it with my Hannah a couple of times, but she's sort of fallen asleep or flaked out, and then by the time we get around to going back to it, we've forgotten.
Listen, Netflix cheat or whatever, Peacock cheat, whatever you guys watch it on, just cheat. Watch it.
No. We on the Petty and Informed podcast do not condone Netflix streaming service cheating on your spouse. Okay,
I do.
It destroys relationships.
If you have tried watching it multiple times with that person, and they fall asleep every time, whatever. Like
she wouldn't mind. No, I'll get around to it.
And then, like, I have several shows that I want to watch, like, get up to date with, like The Boys, and then I have a spouse who's like, I'm not in the mood every time it's brought up. So at some point, I'm just gonna binge them by myself.
The Wrath of Khan was a good one so far.
Oh, yes, I agree. Wrath of Khan is great.
Yeah, but the first season of Picard is the second season's a lot better. Discovery, that's up and down for me. I like season 2 and 4. Didn't like 1 and 3. Strange New Worlds is awesome. If you are a traditional Trekkie who like The Next Generation, stuff like that, Strange New Worlds is awesome. Everyone's a self-contained episode. There's no arc. Well, there is a sort of story in the background, but it's great. I love Strange New Worlds.
I can watch I can watch Picard on. I think that's on Amazon Prime. What's Strange New Worlds on?
Is it on Hulu? It's on Paramount. Is it Paramount Plus?
Oh, okay. I'll after after I've watched Picard, I'll ask about that one. So moving on, if we may. I think in recent years, I looked at my collection, and the stuff that's been done in the past 10 years or so is often quite cerebral. I mean, these ones spring to mind. Sorry about the reflection. That's District 9 and Children of Men in the middle. And all of these are really, they're ones, they're proper sci-fi that really makes you think, or makes some significant commentary on the state of our world today. The film of Snowpiercer is, in people I've spoken to, it's not as well known as the series, but I think the film is meant to be better, and it's done by Bong Joon-ho, who made the masterpiece Parasite, which is not a sci-fi film. And I really love Snowpiercer. It was a fascinating premise, not particularly believable, but fascinating. Inception for me is Christopher Nolan at his best.
No. Okay. I'm going to interrupt you there. Inception is a pile of wank. It is a stupid movie that tries to be way smarter than it actually is. Okay? That scene at the end ruins the entire film. They're like, "Oh, are you in it? Or maybe you're not. Who knows?" That just ruins all of it. Movies need a definitive end, and that kind of cliffhanger crap just ruins the whole thing. It tried to be deep. It failed. It's a pile of wank.
But that's how I'd describe Interstellar.
Yeah, I'd agree.
I thought thought it was way cleverer than it was.
Yeah, no, I'd completely agree with that.
It had some brilliant moments and some really... in Interstellar, you've also got the idea of time traveling at different speeds up on a spaceship and down below, where this one tidal wave means aeons pass or something like that. But again, near a black hole. I'd have to see which one came first. Was it that Doctor Who episode, or was it Christopher Nolan and his Interstellar? Because one might have copied the other. I'm not sure. But anyway,
you said Interstellar, and I heard Inner Space. And my brain went to, what's wrong with that movie?
Nothing.
And then I realized, I was like, Inner Space is fucking awesome. Not quite sci-fi, but kind of sci-fi adjacent.
Thank you, SoFlo. No, people always say, "Oh, Inception's great." It's not. It's a load of wank, and it tries to be way smarter than it actually is. All right? It went too far deep. It went full M. Night Shyamalan. You never go full M. Night Shyamalan.
Well, I quite like I do like Inception. I found it to be less up its own backside than Interstellar. Put it that way.
All right, yeah, okay. It's less up its ass than Interstellar is. I'll concede that point, but it's still several miles up its own ass.
Clearly suffering from a close encounter of the 22nd kind. For those of you who remember the Spitting Image song from the 1980s, I have never met a nice South African. It's a lyric in the song. I've had a close encounter of the 22nd kind. That's when an alien spaceship disappears up your behind. Okay, so
anyway, District 9 is good from those.
District 9 is. It's a little obvious in its allegory, of course. It's completely on its nose. It's not as on the nose as Bright was, but it's definitely less than subtle in its telling. But yeah. So these next films spring to mind because they sort of cross genre from sci-fi into sort of mainstream drama, and they're almost. I think these three, they're almost only sci-fi films, like almost by association. There's just maybe one. I mean, with sci-fi, you think of sort of aliens or time travel or the set in the future, other worlds, other planets, futuristic weapons, lasers, explosions. These films don't really have any of that. but they're all they're all good in one way or another.
The Prestige.
Pi, the only thing that makes it describes itself as a science fiction film on the back, but the only thing that's science fiction about it is one invention. It's a computer chip that's capable of doing something very basically predicting the stock market. That's the premise of Pi. Melancholia is it's a drama film about it's a character-driven drama film set in the present day, and it's Lars von Trier is again totally up his own backside, but this one I think he really got right. I think it's a fantastic film, and I don't want to give away the premise or the plot in case anyone's enjoying it, even though you actually find out the end. It does the end. The last scene comes first, and then it says, 6 months earlier or whatever. But nonetheless, I don't want to go into it too much. But it's just there's only one single thing that makes it a science fiction film. And again, The Prestige. Again, our friend Christopher Nolan, Richard's favorite. It's in the Prestige. Again, it's just one invention. It's just one single invention. Is the otherwise it is a mainstream drama film.
Another bloody film, one of Nolan's films that tries to be smarter than it actually is. But yeah.
What do you think of, say, the Dark Knight trilogy then, Richard?
Batman Begins, great film. Dark Knight, fantastic film. Dark Knight Rises, bag of wank that should have been never made. Finally, my father will have his revenge. I'm dying now. I just think if that's the take they used, how many? What was on the cutting floor? That's what I want to know.
I'd have to watch. I haven't watched it for a long time. It's the one of the trilogy that I've seen the
least. Not to mention, Bane's entire plan was to put him in a prison that a 7-year-old girl literally climbed out of. I mean, and how long did he spend putting that burning bat on the side of Gotham Bridge before actually doing something to help the city? Don't even get me started.
Nikki, have you seen any of those three?
Yes. Oh, you and I have discussed it. I've seen The Prestige and I've seen Melancholia.
Oh, what are your thoughts on Melancholia?
I already told you that too. I do enjoy it. It's a good movie. It's a good movie.
Sorry, goldfish brain here.
I understand.
Yeah, no, Pi and Melancholia
are the same thing. I haven't seen Pi.
Pi is in my all-time top 10. I think it is an absolute masterpiece.
I don't know. Like, I would say The Prestige didn't impress me. It was
It's just Christopher Nolan trying to make fucking messages when he just.
I'm not a massive fan of it. I don't hold it in anywhere near the esteem the other two. It's just an example of when a sci-fi film is only just sci-fi.
So
it could have been a perfectly decent film about two rival magicians, but no, he's got to throw in all this esoteric.
Well, they
nonsense.
couldn't do that because they already had one that was very similar that came out at the same time with Ed Norton and somebody else. I can't remember, but
you've never seen Deep Impact and Armageddon. You can still do the same movie and have two really good films, but just with different actors and stuff based on the same premise.
That's true.
Anyway, sorry.
Those sounds that you're making.
I know it's doing it for you. I'm sorry.
Here's just a couple of extra favorites of mine, or just Silent Running. The ending is you can't help but be moved by.
Great movie.
Sky
Captain and the World of Tomorrow. It's not.
I love that movie.
I rather like it. I
find it. It's entertaining. It is an incredibly entertaining movie.
It is fun.
It's entertaining and fun. Yeah, that's a good way of describing it. That's how I describe Attack the Block as well.
It is, yeah. It really is. Attack the Block is cool. And it is exactly what the tagline says: inner city versus outer space. And it is it's in some ways it reminds me of those 80s greats, just the sense of fun about it.
Tell me that you're going to get to like The Running Man.
Pardon?
We've already gone past that.
Oh, I totally missed it.
I
had it. Way back at the beginning.
Okay,
no, you're gonna make him. No, you made him go back.
I didn't mean to. I just missed it. Keep going. It's okay. Fast forward. It's
okay.
Cool.
So, lastly, sorry. Is this just excruciating for everyone or something? Is this just?
Well,
is it just?
No, I've got the attention span of like a newt.
Well, okay, then I hope you understand that I forgot that you liked Melancholia. You'd seen Melancholia and that we talked about
I know. You and I are both very ADHD, so
woohoo.
It's all good.
Torchwood, spin-off of Doctor Who. Torchwood is an anagram of Doctor Who. And in case you didn't know, seasons 1 and 2 were nothing to write home about. Season 3 just took it to a whole new level. I thought Children of Earth, the ending maybe wasn't so great, but I thought it was just 5 episodes.
Wow.
It's set on 5 consecutive days. I thought it was a wonderfully put together, a wonderfully scripted and well-conceived piece of television. I thought it was fantastic.
There's an anagram of Doctor Who if you spell Doctor Who wrong. Because Doctor Who doesn't have a C or a T in it, or an R.
Well... Even if you,
if you spell out Doctor Who, it does.
Yeah. Okay.
So, right, books. These books are sat on my shelf, and they're saying, "Tom, read me. I'm good. I will make you a cleverer person. You will feel cleverer and better about yourself if you read me."
Oh God! Just stop the bullshit. Just get to the books.
There's the books.
Yeah, the Asimov trilogy is completely overrated. Dune is amazing. You have to read Dune. And you've never read The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
That's like one of my favorite books of ever.
It's the greatest trilogy of 5 ever written.
They're so great. They're hysterical. Like, Douglas Adams is just... He's got a way. Like, I cannot... One of the books that I plan on reading very soon... I'm going to put it on my wish list for my Christmas is darn it, Dirk Gently. But Douglas Adams is hysterical. He's very clever. I love him. You definitely should read that. It's a small book.
He died quite young, didn't he?
Yeah, it's the greatest trilogy of 5 ever written. The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Well, if it's part of a trilogy of 5, I wouldn't imagine it's got a whole lot of competition.
Yeah, no, that's the joke. But no, this is a really good slideshow, and I've enjoyed it a great deal. But I'm going to give you shit because that's what I always do.
Oh no, I need it. Every single thing I do in my entire life takes longer than it should. So kicks up the backside are welcome and necessary. Here are those two. Pick them up at secondhand bookshops. Really interesting to see how sci-fi was interpreted in the past. You know, as you can tell from the front covers that those books are very old. Just the one on the right, anything by Dorling Kindersley is always amazing, pretty much. And reading that is what makes me, and the way that writes about some of the books on this page is what makes me think I really should read them. The way that DK book raves about them, and
definitely should read Dune, man.
I've been told I absolutely must.
Dune's great.
You can see from the front cover I have at least tried. It's partially.
All the Dune books are really good.
I must. So here are just a small handful of books that I actually have read. The only remote one of significant note is George Orwell's 1984, and I found that to be an absolute masterpiece just because of its level of detail and nuance in how the extent to which Big Brother is determined to infiltrate your mind. It's incredible. I put Destiny of the Daleks down there just because I got so engrossed in that book that I once, walking home from a friend's house, I literally sat down under a lamppost to continue reading it.
Okay, so let me get this right. You've read Star Wars and Doctor Who fan fiction, but you haven't read Dune or The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Guilty as charged.
Oh, Tom, I think I'm going to have to kick you off the show for that.
Okay. Now, the problem with Star Wars is anything that Star Wars books, anything that makes anything that with the Star Wars name on it goes straight to on the New York Times bestseller list just because people will buy it. 9/10 of Star Wars books are absolute garbage. You know,
I'd go put 9.5.
At least.
I've read a lot of Star Wars books, and yeah, most of them are crap.
Oh, they really are. Oh, God. But there are diamonds in the rough, and Darth Bane, Path of Destruction, was most definitely one of those. It was really, I thought it was a really, really great story. You didn't know where it was going to go. The characterization of multiple characters in it was really good. The way the biggest problem with Star Wars books for me are that lightsaber duels and space battles don't translate to text very well at all. I mean, all these I found.
No, they do not. Okay, so this has been a really good slideshow. Well done, Tom. But you have missed out. Oh, okay.
One last thing real quick. That book at the top right, The Realignment Case, that was written by my neighbour, Rob Dearden. He lived opposite us and he wrote that book. I went to its launch party and I swear to God, it is bloody brilliant. And it is not a shameless plug. It is honestly a genuinely really good book. Don't be surprised if I can somehow find your address, Richard, don't be surprised if a copy of that ever turns up to your door as a Christmas or birthday present from me, because it is legitimately, I thought, a fantastic book. Richard, it's all yours.
Well, yeah, don't be surprised to read about the antagonist in The Realignment Case, a villain called Mott who bores his enemies to death. But, good slideshow, brilliant stuff. But you did miss out the two greatest sci-fi TV shows of all time. So I've got to pull you over the coals. The first one should have been relevant in your mind. This episode, especially of the show, especially reminiscent of the scene from Dimension Jump, Red Dwarf, obviously.
Oh, yeah.
The greatest sci-fi show ever made.
Wonderful. Yeah, how did I miss that? How did I forget to turn the camera to my Red Dwarf collection? Pitiful, inexcusable. Can one of you guys chuck some stuff in my face now, please? I feel I deserve it.
And the second was Babylon 5, which is a fantastic TV show.
I've been told it is, but I've never actually gone there. The
person who wrote it was a genius. He wrote 5 seasons, only 5, wasn't going to do more than that, and he made each character modular. So if for some reason the actor had to drop out, they could be replaced and it would make sense. Oh, Crispy just messaged me and said Starship Troopers, but that was a load of crap. So
that satire needed to be sharper. It's too blunt and clumsy. It could have been brilliant. I still like it. I still enjoy it.
The book nails the satire. The movie did not.
I have the Robert Heinlein novel. Read bits of it, and that I think. Well, obviously it's Vietnam War, isn't it? Yeah.
It was good stuff. Good stuff. So that's the 2 sci-fi shows you missed.
Yeah, I did. I mean, there's loads of, but like The Fifth Element is also.
Yes.
What is everyone's obsession with that garbage movie?
Because it's fun.
Why does everyone like that piece of crap? It's so awful. It's it's not so bad it's good. It's just terrible. There's nothing laudable about it. There's nothing redeemable about it.
Nikki, what do you think?
I think that I have people that know that I record at a certain time and still insist on knocking repeatedly on my door and yelling my name through it. That's what I think. The end.
So she agrees with me.
No, Fifth Element is delightful. I love it. Screw Richard. He's wrong. The end.
It is not delightful.
It's wonderful.
Terrible.
It's got an amazing aria in it. The music is good. I don't know. Lilu Multipass.
It
is heavily like there are so many really good little snippets that like you can quote. It's very quotable in certain aspects. It's a good movie.
I found myself in a Fifth Element moment in my classroom where one of my kids, I'd said to everybody, guys, you must make sure you underline with a ruler, and one kid didn't, and without even making the decision to do it, I just pointed to his book and I went, no, and they looked at me like I was quite mad.
I imagine that's something you're used to. That'll wrap us up for this week anyway. What do you guys want to talk about next week? Nikki, come on, it's your turn.
Hold on.
And we're holding.
Sorry. I will. How about we'll do a little bit of true crime? I'll find a thing. We'll make fun of dumb criminals or just listen to something awful. I'll figure it out.
Okay. So
Halloween, I'll do something spoopy. So.
Spoopy.
Spoopy.
Spoopy. Okay, we're going to do something spoopy for Halloween.
Yeah.
Classic. All right, that'll wrap us up for this week. We will return next week, despite the hopes of many. It is good night from me, and it's good night from you. Good night.
Thanks, everyone. Cheers.